Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to go over the data mines which have been happening over the last few days when it comes to War Thunder. There is some interesting information when it comes to them. Obviously with the implementation of the BR changes today, it means that a few things have been moved around. Not just with the vehicles themselves, but also with some of the Battle Pass stuff, so it's worth definitely going through. Another thing to also mention, since they've implemented the BR changes, there are a few, or at least one which we've found, which was not mentioned in the list of updates, and this was the Sea Venom. The Sea Venom is no longer going up to 8.0, it is staying at 7.7. This is a wonderful thing. The Sea Venom is not a very good performing vehicle at the BR of 7.7, or at least when it comes to my interpretation of it, and it also is a show to make sure to check all of the BR changes for yourself, because maybe there is a few things that are involved which may be or may have been changing which haven't. So if you have specific lineups that you like running, just make sure that the BRs still line up compared to other ones. Everything else from the list looks very similar to what we looked at during the updates, so I'm not going to cover it once again since we will be, covering other stuff. If you want to hear my opinions or find out about the other changes which come out in the updates, there are some previous videos on the channel that you can check out. Once again, thank you to Zabi for putting together all of these data mines. It is a pleasure to have somebody in the community who is able to do this, and gratitude will always go out to them. And I will leave links in the description to all of the data mines, and make sure to go and thank Zabi for doing them. Anyway, let's get into them. So the first set of changes is for 2.7.0.197, and these are the implementation of the BR changes, and also as well some changes to some of the battle tasks. So for Captain Octopus, Can Do Approach, and also Almighty, all of these battle tasks have changed. Now, battle tasks are something that you use to be able to get points towards the battle pass, and obviously that's very important. Even if you haven't bought the battle pass, you can get some free stuff in it, and also the Warbond shop, so make sure to check them, make sure to see how they've changed if you like doing these tasks. For me personally, I prefer other ones, so we'll have to see what goes on. Along with the implemented BR changes, there was obviously changes to the IPM1. This vehicle went from 10.0 to 10.3 and was also getting a few other changes, including some removals of APFS-DS rounds such as the M735 and the M774, and the addition of a very powerful APFS-DS, the M900, on it. It has a 522mm of pen as a really nice round. This one should work incredibly well against pretty much everything, and because of the fact that they removed some APFS-DSs and added another one, this means that the mods costs actually changed. So for the rank 1 mods, they lowered the GE costs. For the rank 2 ones, they lowered them once again, and then for rank 3 mods, they increased the RPSL and GE costs because of the removal of the APFS-DS, and for rank 4 mods, they actually lowered the GE cost of them. So overall, it might be, well, it's probably very similar to what it was before, but at the end of the day, it does mean that things have been moved around. The 12.7mm M2 HB horizontal limits have been changed as well, from -180 to +180 to -160 to +180. So overall, losing a little bit of the horizontal on the M2 HB. It should be fine, shouldn't really make too much of a difference on the gun itself, but it will be slightly more limited. Overall, the BR changes, a lot of them I agree with, some of them I disagree with. We've talked about them in previous videos, so let's get on to the next bit. In 2.7.0.198, they basically changed the ground vehicle damage indicator. They reworked it, so therefore they've added a first stage ammo counter. We've talked about this many times in the past when it comes to the UI. The UI should provide more information in a more compact way, and they've been doing it really well. The most recent change that we've seen is the smoke launchers, where now it tells you how many it fires at once. I think this is a really positive change change, and it's nice to see that they're expanding this idea to other areas of the game. As you go up the tiers, the first stage ammo stowage or ammo counter really is very important, especially on vehicles where their reload is kind of key to them. So stuff like the Vickers MBT, the Challenger, which have pretty small first stage ammo stowage areas, means that you have to keep a count of them in order to keep that really quick reload. A few thoughts on the IPM1 going up as well. The Macava also went up to 10.3, so that lineup's going to be really baller now with the M1A1, the IPM1, and the Macava. But the reloads are going to be the issue. The IPM1 with 5-second M900 is going to be very powerful at that BR, and we're going to have to see how it does against the 11.0 competition, which it will now be opened up more to. The other one, the Macava, has a very good round on it as well, but the reload is a little bit low compared to, or a little bit high compared to a few other ones. So we'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see how the armor profiles actually matter, and also at the same time if they're going to change stuff about the M1A1. I doubt it. I think the M1A1's in a pretty good place. Generally, that 10.3 BR, you got to be a little bit careful, because if they add some new meta vehicles at 11.0, such as, let's say, they add like a new Abrams or they add a new Challenger, which we know is coming in the form of the Black Knight, what is going to happen is that 10.3 bracket is going to get hammered pretty hard. It depends what is more popular. Are the 9.0, 9.3, 9.7 premiums going to be more popular, or is the 11.0 area going to be more popular? And it really depends on what the meta is. It really depends on what people are enjoying, because that 10.3 bracket is a bit of an odd one, because if a lot of people are playing 9.7s, 10.0s, 9.3s, it's going to be very, very strong for the Americans. But if a ton of people more are playing 11.0s and you get up-tiered more, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle snuggle. The last one is 198 to 200, and they're doing similar stuff to what they're doing before, meaning that they're renaming stuff to make it a little bit better. So what they're doing is for the F-84 G21 RE and 26 RE, they're just adding Thunderjet to it, maybe because it's more of an official name or unofficial name, and same with the PBY5A. They are changing it to the PBY5A, but the A is capitalized. So just doing little tweaks here and there to make sure everything is sorted. They've also renamed the engine, the BMW 109 718, to just the 109 718, taking away the BMW tag, and they're changing the A2D1's test flight to the Jet Navy Wake Island 1 from just the standard Jet Wake Island 1, which means that it is considered a naval aircraft and will take off from the carrier. The A26, all of them, the vertical limits of the ventral turret are being changed. So basically they're going to have 5. Before they had 5 degrees of elevation, now they only have 2, and the dead zones on them have been fixed. The BA-88, the bombs now drop separately. This is a big thing that we've seen recently when it comes to War Thunder. The idea that a lot of vehicles are now getting independent bomb drops. This makes them very, very powerful, because it means in ground forces and even air forces you can hit normally 2 or 3 targets now instead of just 1 or 2. So the rebalancing around stuff like that may come eventually. We'll have to see how much they give it to, because there's still a lot of vehicles that don't have this feature, but I'm guessing they're going off historical values in this point. The Firecrest and all of the Ju-87s, the break-off points of the wings and tail have been fixed, and the J-35D, the 30mm Akans that they have, their RPG is going from 90 to 100, so they're actually getting more ammunition in their guns. Not a huge difference, but a little bit, which could have a decent effect, especially as the battles drag on. The T-18B2, the icons of the loadout screen have been fixed, and the IPM-1, when it comes to its modifications, its M833 shell, which used to be its best APFS-DS, is going to rank 1, so you can get that pretty quickly, and then the M900 is going to be the rank 4 round. So the vast majority of time you're spading this vehicle, you will get a similar experience to what a full aced IPM-1 would be like with the M833. So that's positive for it, especially with the update to it going to 10.3. We're going to have to see how it performs. Then they renamed a few other vehicles, so the Soldati class, the RN Aviaire 1941, has now been changed to the 1940. This fits a little bit better with it, since of course when it comes to destroyers, which the Aviaire is, with being part of the Soldati class, you got to remember they get refit quite a lot, and you know they get extra guns and stuff, so it's very important to make sure to get the year right, so therefore you know there can't be any questions around it. Different shells have been renamed as well. The 120mm APC-BC Perforante is going to the same, but they've changed the M's to actually M's. Same with the Dirampente and Contro area shells, so just to make sure that they are sorted. The Churchill I-45, the number of torpedoes in the Torpedoes, Mortar and Hedgehog loadout is going from 1 to 3, so therefore it will be a little bit more useful in it in general. The 100mm 2A70, the HE shell, is going from 15.8 kilos to 13.41. This means that its drag coefficient is going from 1 to 0.3, so that shell got a lot worse. And the AS30, the distance from the center of mass to stabilizer, is going from 1 to 0.02, so a massive change on that as well. They've also changed the RB05As to not be as good. We're going to have to see how that affects the vehicle. Another thing that's also been changed on the IPM-1 is they've changed its SL multipliers. So in AB, it's going from 1.04 to 0.98, whereas in RB, it's going from 1.38 to 1.3. So its SL multipliers are lower. It's been increased in BR. It's nerfs and buffs to the IPM-1, obviously. With getting the new round, you should do a little bit better with the vehicle, but it's going to get slightly worse matchmaking and also make a little bit less SL. So we're going to have to see how that balances out. Obviously, it seems it was having a troubled time at 10.0, being a little bit too good if they're changing it so much in this way. It also gives you an inkling on how different being in the 10.0 matchmaking from 11.0 to 10.0, 10.0 to 9.0 compared to the 10.3 one is, where it's 11.0 to 10.3, 10.3 to 9.3. There seems to be a massive change and not a small one which has been made here. Anyway, that is all of the data mines which have happened over the last few days. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank BRFC, Swollen Ostrich, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Lafouche, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.